Right, so we will present this uh, in honor of His Holiness His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayan Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanitam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Jayatam Shrato Pangor Mama Manda Matirgati Mat Sarvasva Padam Bojo Radha Madana Mohano Vrindaranyo Kalpa Dhumadaha Srimat Ratna Gado Simhasanosto Sriman Radha Srila Govinda Deva Prashtadibihi Sevyamano Smarami Shriman Rasa Rasarambi Vamsivata Statashtitaha Darshan Venur Swaner Gopir Gopinata Shriyastanaha Bhakta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Vishnupadaya, Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudiraye Dharma Projito Kaitavo Atra Paramo Nirmatsaranam Satam Vedam Vastamatra Shivadam Tapatrayon Mudam Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krite Kim Va Pare Ishvara Satyo Hridi Avarudyate Atra Kritivihi Shushrubhishtakshanat. This beautiful Bhagavatam, compiled by the great sage Vyasadeva, in his maturity, is sufficient in itself for God realization. What is the need of any other scripture? As soon as one attentively and submissively hears the message of Bhagavatam, by this culture of knowledge, the Supreme Lord is established within his heart. Kalpatarorgalitam phalam Sukhamukhamritadravyasamritam Pibata Bhagavatam Rasmalayam Muhuraho Rasika Puri Bhagavaha Nastaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahma Samhitam Uttama Shloka Charitam Chakara Bhagavan Rishihi Shreyasaya Lokasya Dhanyam Swasti Ayanam Mahat. This Srimad Bhagavatam is the literary incarnation of God, and it is compiled by Srila Vyasadeva, the incarnation of God. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people, and it is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. त्वयि मे आनन्दविषयामतिर्मधुपते आसकृत् तदा ढङ्गे भौगं मुदन्मतिः. O Lord of sweetness, Madhupate, as the Ganga forever flows to the sea without hindrance, let my ratim or attraction be constantly drawn unto you without being diverted to anyone else. Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Narasimhaya Punamini Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayatim Girim Tatkripatamaham Vande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanyam Ishwaram Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna, everyone. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So, we are now continuing with Srimad Bhagavatam. This is Canto 2, Chapter 3, and we will hope to finish this chapter today. So, it's part 3. So, a bit of recap so that we can remember back what we have done in previous sessions. So, in Canto 2, Chapter 1, 2, and 3. So, we have done Chapter 1 and 2. So, a very quick recap of what we did again in Chapter 1. So Sukadev Goswami is answering Parikshit Maharaj the question of what one should chant, what one should remember, what one should do, what one should chant, remember, do, pray to, worship. So and what one should not do. So a person who is living in this world, everybody living in this world dies, takes birth and dies. So what is the ultimate duty for that person? So then Sukadev Goswami gives the answer. So he says, don't be a Grihamidi. And then he says, instead, what you should do. So he goes step by step. Because in that assembly of Sukadev Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj, all the sages from all over the universe are assembled. So that understanding that every sage is not in the same level, right? So Sukadev Goswami begins from the very basic level first, the first level. So therefore, the first step of God realization. Because everybody in this material world, we have come to this material world ultimately due to our envy of the Supreme Lord. And that envy arose and gave birth to various desires. And these desires are with the idea of having dominion, having control, having lordship over this material world creation and enjoying it separate from the Lord. So in an environment where majority of everybody is in this mood, okay, so the Lord has devised many plans in order to bring us back to him. He is like the transcendental fisherman. We are like all the fishes in the ocean of material existence, Samsara Sagara. Samsara Sagara is known as the ocean of material existence. And we are all like the fishes lost in that ocean, searching and searching for all kinds of things. So the Lord is like the transcendental fisherman, and he has come, right? And he has come to deliver us. He's come to catch us and bring us back to the spiritual world. For us to, he wants to wake us up, awake from this jada valka. So, and when you catch fish, there are different types of fish in the sea, and not every fish you can catch with the same type of net, right? Because every fish will have a different slightly different sizes, right? So the net also, you have fine net, very coarse net, very different shapes of nets also. So in the same way, there is no one. It's very difficult sometimes for one rule which can apply for everybody, or one path which can apply for everybody, because people have different mindsets, different desires, different modes of nature, different combinations of them. So therefore, the Lord devises so many paths. So amongst the many paths the Lord has devised, basically we can understand there are three paths. So, but before we go into that, so he talks about the first path. The first part, so since everybody assembled there are yogis, so they are all the intelligent people in this creation. Those who are in the assembly there, they are all yogis and they're all rishis, so great personalities from all over the universe. They have come here to hear, right? So addressing the intelligent personalities, right? So therefore he says, first step is, most of them, many of the rishis are jnanis. Jnanis means they are those who speculate and they follow the path of meditation. So it's and this is easier for them to accept because the path of meditation and jnana, that one doesn't require them to surrender to a supreme personality of Godhead. So that path doesn't require surrender. So you don't have to bow down. You don't have to say somebody is greater than me. So it's like by my own ability, by my own endeavor, I will achieve success. I will achieve liberation. So therefore, the Lord, he's very expert. So he tricks just like how the fisherman can trick the fish, right? So in this way, the Lord can trick the devotees, the people in this universe with different pathways. So he says, okay, you want to do meditation and everything, all right? But meditation, you have to somehow connect with me. So unless you connect with me, then your meditation will not bear the ultimate fruit. So people like to meditate in all kinds of things. Some people meditate on nothingness, like the Buddhist. Some people meditate on the oneness, like the Mayavadis or the Brahmavadis. Some people meditate on light, which is also the same as like the Brahmavadis. So, and some people meditate on certain forms like demigods and whatever. So that is also a different type of meditation. So, but the Lord says somehow or other you have to connect with me because aham sarvasva prabhavo mata sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajanti mam buddha bhava samanvitah. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita chapter 10 verse 8, he says, I actually am the Lord of everything. Everything material and everything spiritual emanates from me. So there's nothing that can exist without me, right? And he says, Aham sarvasya prabhavo mata sarvam pravartate. Yeah, so everything comes from me. I am the Lord of every creation, spiritual and material, right? And one who knows this, then he will worship me. But so that's the thing. So not everybody can come to that level directly. So, and the Lord says, but if you can't accept this, some people do different types of sacrifices. If you read chapter 10, he will say, yeah, there are some people who will if they don't accept this especially. So they will do different types of worship, different types of yogya. But he says, no, that ultimately, if you're doing fire sacrifice, I am the ghee, I am the fire, right? If you're offering worship, I am the goal of everything. So therefore, there must be some connection to the Lord. That's why even in every yagya, from every yagya, even material yagya, even the devata yagyas, even in any temple you go, right? Every yagya must end with swaha to Vishnu. So yeah, and it's acknowledged that Vishnu is the Yagneshwara. That's his name, Yagneshwara. So that Vishnu's name will be mentioned in one yagya or the other, at least once. Cannot escape from it. So the Lord tricks them, right? At least in some way, you are connected to me. You are worshipping me, at least in some small way. So similarly, in the meditation path, if one meditates, how to bring them towards the personal form of the Lord. So therefore, he gives them, say, okay, you're meditating. Why don't you meditate in the universe? Because in your system, in our body, there is a mini universe pathway within our system. This is the energy chakras within our body, right? We have the different nadi chakras, right? So it's that nadi chakra forms a line of energy which is called the Sishumara chakra. And the same Sishumara chakra is also represented in the universe. So when we are raising our prana from one level to another level, The meditation is also with the understanding that we are remembering the different lokas, the different planetary systems in the universe. So at least by remembering the different planetary systems in the universe, Krishna is saying, you are actually meditating on my Virat Rupa form. So my Virat Rupa form is the first connection that you have with me, but it's a very indirect connection, right? Because it is a material form, even though it is the Lord, because it's made up of material things in the universe. But out of mercy, the Lord allows this form to still connect with Him. So that's the first step of God realization. So we heard this very nicely in chapter 1, Canto 2. And then what happens is, Sukadev Goswami answers Parikshit Maharaj that actually the answers to all your questions is the Srimad Bhagavatam. So therefore he begins to expound on the Srimad Bhagavatam. And he says, since everybody here are meditating, so it's actually everybody's following the Nivriti Marga. So the paths of perfection, when there is in human beings, as I said, the Lord has many, many pathways, but it can broadly be categorized into, as I said, right, there are two pathways, main categories. One is called the Nivriti Marga. Nivriti means the path of renunciation. So the path of renunciation. And here he's addressing particularly the rishis who are all in the path of meditation, which is the jnana or the dhyana. It starts with jnana and goes to dhyana. So that's part of Nivriti Marga. Now, Nivriti Marga, this is just one path. But Krishna says...
Sorry, Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Your voice is breaking, Prabhu. Am I only feeling that, or others are also having the same, this one?
Is it constantly breaking or just on and off? Right now, that's the thing, isn't it? My internet shows full. Full bar.
I'm okay. I'm okay. Can carry on.
You're okay?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Carry on, Prabhu.
Okay, I think it's an on and off. Okay. I think it's an on and off thing, but anyway, I'll try. What can I do? This is internet. Mine is full. Okay, all right. So yeah. So the path of perfection, right? That is the Nivriti Marga, path of renunciation, and meditation is under this path. But Krishna says, unless you link to me in some way, or in other words, indirectly include bhakti, right? Whatever path you follow is not the end. It's just an in-between stage. So therefore, from jnana, you have to connect with me in order to come to bhakti. Unless if you do not come to bhakti, you cannot achieve full perfection. So therefore, the Lord finds different ways out of His costless mercy. We have no conception about the Lord's costless mercy. He goes to so many extents and so many lengths to try to have different ways to bring us all back. So anyway, therefore, this is one way in which He tries to bring us back to bhakti by introducing the Virat Rupa form meditation. So He tries to connect them to the Virat Rupa. And then, but that's not the end. From Virat Rupa, they must transcend. So therefore, the Lord says, the next chapter 2, the Lord in the heart. So He says, amongst these jnana yogis, again there are two types. There is one type which is, they still have material attraction even after doing meditation, because it's a very difficult path. It's not easy to renounce everything, right? Still they have in their minds material attraction. But nevertheless, they were very, very diligent in what they were doing. So when they die, even by the process of yoga, when they die, they don't get liberation straight away because they have not attained the end of the road. So the Lord allows them to continue. So what happens is they travel to the higher planetary systems. So we heard about this journey of this unsuccessful yogi, how he journeys from higher planetary systems, one level to another, to Shishamara Chakra, to Shvetadvip, and then from Janaloka to Mahaloka, Mahaloka, then Janaloka, Tapaloka, Satyaloka, ultimately to Lord Brahma's abode. and he remains with Lord Brahma, with the association of Lord Brahma. And in this way, because of the association of Lord Brahma, he develops devotion and comes to the platform of bhakti. So there are many great sages. So Lord Brahma is in Satya Yoga. We also have the Sanat Kumaras in various other lokas within from Satya Loka and Jana Loka and all that. So they are also there. So from them also associating with them, these yogis can develop bhakti. And so that is the Lord in the heart. So when they develop bhakti, they switch their meditation from Virat Rupa form into Paramatma form. And then they develop a success. From there, they can go to the spiritual world. But that's the first type of jnana yogi. Those were initially unsuccessful in controlling their senses. But there is also another type of jnana yogi who, with diligence, they manage to control their senses. And what happens to them? At that time, they seek within and they come across the Paramatma within their own heart. So by Krishna's direct mercy, they are able to see Paramatma within their own heart. That's the success that's the present the Lord gives to congratulate the success of the yogi in conquering his senses. He reveals the Paramatma form of himself within the heart. So when the yogi sees the Paramatma form, then again he has a choice. He can either continue his meditation of the Paramatma form within the heart, because the Paramatma form, once you see, it's very attractive. But still, the choice is there. So if they are unfortunate, then they will not meditate on the Paramatma. They will just prefer to merge into the Brahman, into the effulgence of Brahman. So that's unfortunate. But if they decide to switch over to Paramatma worship, then again, from jnana, they have crossed over to bhakti. Right? So that's the second level. But this is such a difficult process to go through jnana and then only come to bhakti. It's very, very difficult process. In Bhagavad Gita itself, in 2 places, Krishna has said, this path of jnana is so difficult, right? Even Arjuna also says that it's difficult. I rather control the wind than to follow this path. So that's for those who, indirectly had to be brought into bhakti either because they were not fortunate enough to come across a devotee, or because they were too much of having ego that they cannot bow down to the existence of a supreme being. So anyway, now they've come to the Paramatma level. So we heard about all these things. At the end of the chapter, the goal of Paramatma realization is to finally transcend into pure bhakti. Because this one is still mixed bhakti, right? So there's still, ideas of liberation and things like that. It is not pure bhakti means only one idea, only one desire. To be the servant of the Supreme Lord or the devotees of the Supreme Lord. That is pure bhakti. No other desires. So, and therefore, from Paramatma, they get the realization, right, of accepting pure devotional service by the means of Guru, and they come to the platform of Hari Namanu Kirtanam. That means chanting and hearing and remembering the pastimes of Hari. So that is the ultimate goal. So you see, in the end, from meditation, they also come to Hari Kirtan. So from every other path also, they will come to this path of bhakti only in the end. Otherwise, they cannot progress further. They get stuck within that area. So this is Bhagavan realization. Because when we talk about Hari Nama and Kirtanam, this is the Nama, the names, and together with the names is the form. And together with the name and form comes the qualities and also the pastimes. So this is describing Bhagavan. Because Paramatma doesn't perform pastimes, only Bhagavan performs pastimes, the supreme form of the Lord. So now they come to the pure devotional service. So that's where the change of heart will take place. So that's chapter 3. And that's where we are now in chapter 3. So in chapter 3, the first part of the chapter 3 was Sukadev Goswami was coming to the quick conclusion. He wanted to test the audience. So therefore he gave these answers, and very, very briefly, he spoke at some length about the Krama Mukti, the travel of the Jnana Yogi and the Paramatma and all that. But when it comes to Bhakti, very briefly only he mentions at the end. After talking so much, he says in chapter 2 that the ultimate goal of everything is Hari Namanu Kirtanam. And then he keeps quiet after that. So in chapter 3, therefore, now he is testing the people. So he says, now whatever I spoke earlier is for the intelligent, but for the the ultimate and the ultimate point of whatever I mentioned is Hari Namanu Kirtanam, to chant, remember, and hear the pastimes of the Lord. But there are still people who are unintelligent. So for the unintelligent, not everybody is in the same level with the rishis. So merciful to them, therefore the Lord also says there is another path of perfection. You can also come from it from Pravritti Marga. Just now I said Nivritti Marga, which is the path of renunciation. Now there is Pravritti Marga. This is the path of sense gratification, Karma Kanda, of fruitive activities. So these are for, and this is, basically you want something, you need to do certain activities prescribed in the Vedas, and then you will get what you want. So these are material desires. And who are the people who will take to this path? These are the Alpa Medasam, the less intelligent people. The less intelligent people, Alpa means short, Meda means intelligence. So those who have short intelligence or narrow intelligence, they take to this path of probability because they can't see beyond their current need. Just like sometimes we have, in politics, like in some places in the world, the politicians will promise some short-term goals to the people. They will say, I'll give you all the movies you want. I'll buy for you television set. I'll give you, 100 ringgit every month or something like that. And then I'll buy for you rice or, sometimes it happens in some places in the world, like India, I heard. They have this kind of politicians who give this kind of very, very narrow short-term promises just to win the votes. So, deluded by these short-term goals, the people, they vote for them, but in the end, they are being destroyed. Their future is being, taken away. They are being swindled. So in this way, just like, okay, I give you some candy, you vote for me. So, but in the end, what's the big picture they don't see? So many people in this world are like that. So as a result, we get, the type of politicians and the type of leaders in society who cannot see beyond the direct goal in front of their eyes. They don't think deeply enough about the future. So in the same way, right? So there are people like that who, for them, the path of Pravritti Marga is given. Because if you don't even give this path to them, then what will they do? They can't take up ability because they are too unintelligent. So therefore, at least must give this path to them. So gradually they can make some elevation. Otherwise, they'll be lost. So therefore, the Pravritti Marga is given. So we heard about this in chapter 3, right? For the unintelligent, what they must do, right? There are different pathways for them. For example, if they want dominion, if they want kingdom, they should worship Lord Indra. If they want material prosperity, they should worship Durga. If they want great heroism and power, they should worship Lord Shiva. And then if they want good health and longevity, they should worship Ashwini Kumaras. And then if they want lots of money, they should worship Kubera, right? Or if they want to achieve Brahman, then they should worship Lord Brahma. So different prescriptions were given to satisfy the different desires of the people. And even that also is divided into 3 modes. People who desire things in the mode of goodness, in the mode of passion, in the mode of ignorance. So that's why the Vedas are actually, they provide, it's like Chintamani. It's given for people of all sorts of mind frame. So, and it's meant to help them make some elevation according to their level. So therefore, this is for the less intelligent. And in the end, but after saying all this, after saying that, Sukadev Goswami, in the end, he says, in verse 10, very famous verse, Akama sarva kamava moksha kama udharadihi tivrena bhakti yogena yajita purusham param. So he says, whether you are akama, that means no desire, or whether you have sarva kama, all kinds of desire, or whether you have moksha karma, you simply want to get some peace, right? So if you're any of these also, what you should do, all of you should ultimately tivrena bhakti yogena, all of you should determinately take up the path of bhakti, bhakti yoga, and you should yajeta, worship who? Purusham Param, the ultimate person, Bhagavan. So you see, again he is stressing on this. In chapter 2, he ended with Hari Namanu Kirtanam as the goal of all yoga. And in chapter 3 also, after talking about the Pravritti Marga, he says, don't remain in the Pravritti Marga. You should come to Bhakti Yoga. From Pravritti Marga, somehow you can switch, right? Come to Nivritti path and take up Bhakti Yoga. Then when so in that, so that's why there is mention of Lord Vishnu in every yajna. So in some way they are at least chanting Lord Vishnu's name, somehow or other. So whether you have all kinds of desires also, never mind, come and worship the Lord. He will provide everything. So after that, then so the idea here is basically all roads are but a means towards bhakti. But if you want to achieve, how can the Pravritti Marga devotee come to bhakti? How can the Nivritti Marga devotee who is a jnani come to bhakti? It's not automatic. Because of them doing all these things, they come in close contact with bhakti, but they cannot get pure bhakti. There is one condition. The condition is pure bhakti can only be received by a pure devotee. So all their Pravritti Marga, all their jnana and everything, it will bring them in contact with pure devotees. Just like how the jnanis, they came into contact with Lord Brahma, right? After going through purification, they even came in contact with Lord Vishnu, right? And then they come to Satya Loka, where they accept Lord Brahma as their leader. And in this way, they understand, because Lord Brahma is the head of our Sampradaya, isn't it? So he's a great devotee as well. And therefore, they come into contact with a great devotee. So from there only they can get bhakti. Otherwise, it's very, very rare they can get bhakti just like that. So the materialists also, by performing yajnas and things like that, they come in contact with the Vedas, they come in contact, and wherever they are, and they come to holy places. So wherever there are holy places, wherever there's Veda, somehow they will get some agyata sukriti, they may have eaten prasada. So this is why Srila Prabhupada stressed so much on preaching. So we have to go around and create the mercy for the people in this world. So we are trying to be the instrument of Krishna's compassion. Krishna wants to reclaim everyone. And the only way they can is if there is some kind of contact, favorable contact with devotees. And or with the paraphernalia of the Lord in some way. They must appreciate the Lord and his devotees or anything to do with the Lord. And the moment they do that, they get Agyata Sukriti. It will grow in their heart. And it will grow and grow and grow until they can, it starts to come out as a bhakti plant. So that's why Harinam Sankirtan is very, very important. Whenever we get a chance, right, especially like Radha Yatras, when we go out for Radha Yatras, everybody should chant loudly the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Sometimes we just walk along the Radha Yatra. So that's not very good, right? We should chant together with everybody. When that's why we have the lead kirtan singer. He is chanting, everybody should just chant, follow with him. So then when everybody in that Radha Yatra chants, you can imagine the impact it will give to the people around. Otherwise, if you're simply walking silently along with the Radha, then it's not maximum impact. It's not Kali Yuga Dharma. So that's a very nice thing to do. So we have to go and spread the holy name, and we have to also give the books. So as much as possible, we should also distribute books in such public places, right? And at the same time, we should be having programs to explain those contents of the books to them, because sometimes they may not be able to understand, or they may want to know more information. So therefore, it's not enough just to give the books. We should also have some program where we explain these things to them, in a systematic way, or at least give them an opportunity to ask questions. So therefore, all roads lead to bhakti, but sadhu sangha is the key. Without sadhu sangha, you cannot graduate to bhakti yoga. They will remain stuck in Pravritti Marga or in Jnana Marga, right? They cannot cross over to Bhakti unless they somehow or other get the mercy of a devotee. So Sadhu Sangha is the key. That's why they say Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Matra Hoy, Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Siddhi Hoy. So even, Sadhu Sangha is so important that even a moment's association with a sadhu, with a pure devotee, can give one all kinds of perfection. Sarva Siddhi Hoy. All kinds of Sarva Siddhi means all kinds of perfections you can get simply by Lava Matra, a fraction of a second of association with the pure devotee, right, has the potential to give one all perfections. So that, but the thing is, one has to be receptive. One has to be in a receptive mode. If one is not receptive, then one will have offensive mentality. If there's offensive mentality, then there is a block. But if one is receptive, especially in a servitable mood, right, then it becomes very conducive. So then, continuing with that, we heard in previous, in chapter 3 also, after saying this, after saying Sadhu Sangha is the key, Sukadev Goswami stops, right? And then Saunaka Rishi, at that time, Saunaka Rishi is the one who is narrating, Sutta Goswami is narrating what Sukadev Goswami spoke to Parikshit Maharaj, and Saunaka Rishi stops talking after that. Sutta Goswami stops speaking after that. So the person who's hearing the sages of Naimisharanya, right? So these are the sages of Naimisharanya, and this is Saunaka Rishi, and this is Sutta Goswami. So after Sutta Goswami stops narrating, Saunaka Rishi becomes anxious. He says, "Hey, why have you stopped?" So he is described here that he is Sushru Sataram. That means he's very eager and he's very anxious. Anxious for what? Anxious for Harikatha. And he presses, Saunaka Rishi presses Sutta Goswami to speak more. So how he does that? He begins glorifying the ideal speaker of Srimad Bhagavatam. Ideal speaker and the ideal listener. So basically the best combination. So he glorifies Sukadev Goswami and he glorifies Parikshit Maharaj. So both of them are very different, Sukadev Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj. Parikshit Maharaj was a great king, warrior, right? And Sukadev Goswami is a Brahmana. He's not only, he's not even a Brahmana. He didn't even accept the Brahminical initiation. He's a Avadut, a transcendentalist. And he's a mendicant. He has nothing new. But still, both of them are in the Mahabhagavata level, right? So, and in their Mahabhagavata level, so therefore, when two Bhagavatas come together and they discuss, what will they do when two Bhagavatas come together? They won't talk about anything else. They will only talk about Harikatha. So that's it. So, and if we are fortunate to be part of that association of hearing the Harikatha amongst the Bhagavats, then we are very, very fortunate. So that's how it goes. And then Sutta Goswami, Saunaka Rishi, he continues. He wants to convince Sutta Goswami to continue speaking. Right? Why you stopped? And then he says, don't you know that everything is futile if one does not engage in Harikatha? Right? And then he begins to give many, many descriptions. Basically, he starts talking about those who are averse to Harikatha. Right? So then he says, there are people just like how the sun rises and sets every day, by rising and setting, the sun is robbing our life away day by day. So people don't realize this, and they spend the time given by the sunset and the sunrise in frivolous activities. They don't spend that time, they don't allocate some time to hear Harikatha. So therefore he says, these people, these Grahamidis, who don't allocate time for Harikatha, right? So they are like the trees. So don't we have trees? The trees live, right? So the word he uses is the trees live, jivanati. They have life. But what's the point of the life of the tree? Because they can't do anything as a tree. They can't go anywhere, they can't say anything, they can't do anything, they cannot chant anything, they can't even remember anything because the consciousness of the tree is so dull. It's deep in sleep. So it's very dull, the consciousness of the tree. So what's the point of that kind of life? And these kind of trees, they live for so long. So what's the point of living so long when they cannot achieve Hari Nama Sankirtan? Or what's the point of a bellow? You know, the bellow which blows air into the hot metal when they are making metal things. So the bellow blows, swasanti. The bellow breathes, right? It breathes air. So we also have lungs. So what's the point of our lungs when we are breathing air, but we don't expend our air in Hari Nama Sankirtan? So then we are nothing other than a bellow, a dead bellow. In other words, he's trying to say, what's the point of life? You're just like it's dead. And then he continues, all like the beasts. Don't the trees live? Don't the bellows breathe? Don't the beasts eat? Right? So, okay, what about breathing and everything? What about eating? So we are all eating and everything. So is that all that we do? And don't the beasts also pass even? So eating, mating, sleeping, defending. This is alone the main function of the Grihamidhi. What's the point of life in such a person? So then he continues to say, such people are just like dogs. Because, we described this to some extent in our previous session. They are like dogs who go around begging for their subsistence to serve uh, vicious and miserly masters for scraps of sustenance. Or they are like hogs who are indiscriminate in what they eat. They eat everything and anything without any discrimination, right? Or they are like camels. So camels, they drink their own blood. They cut their own tongues and drink their own blood, thinking that, oh, the thorns that I'm eating is so tasty. Because they eat cactus. Cactus is full of thorns, and the thorns hurt their tongue, cuts their tongue, and blood mixes with the thorns, and they eat that, and they think, oh, it's a very nice sauce. So, and it's describing the materialists who expend so much of their energy and their time, right, in order to do so many material things. And they think that this is nice. So that's like the camel, who is like always, who doesn't understand the higher taste. Or people are like the donkeys, the asses. So ass or the donkey is the most foolish of animals. So it carries heavy burden. It does so much of work. Doesn't understand that it doesn't need to do all this to that extent, right? So because the donkey what's the donkey's food? The donkey eats grass, and grass is everywhere. And the donkey is kept by the washerman and made to do very menial things, carry or dirty clothes and everything like that. And at the end of so much of work, what the donkey's reward? The donkey gets some grass. Which, if the donkey was free, he could have just eaten his own grass by his own without doing any work. So these things are there already. So people are like this in general. And he continues to say, and they are also like, they like to talk. They like to misuse their tongue. So they talk so many things, so many matters. So this talking is like the frog croaking. So the frog also croaks. What's the benefit of the frog croaking? When the frog croaks, what's the benefit? Right? The benefit is that the snake benefits. When the frog croaks, what will come? The snake will come. So the snake was the next animal which was described. So the snake also, what's the point of your tongue when you don't chant Hari Kirtan, right? That is like the frog. And what's the point of having ears if you don't lend our ears in chanting, in hearing Harikatha? So then our ears are like none other than the ears of the snake. Snake also has ears, but the snake is deaf. It basically senses vibration through its tongue and searches for the frog, right? So by the frog croaking, the snake will come and eat the frog. So we are only chasing after death by doing these things. So then Saunaka Rishi tells Sutta Goswami, look, we don't want to be like this. Okay, so therefore speak more Harikatha. So then he's continuing. Now we are in this point of this chapter. We haven't finished what Saunaka Rishi was saying about this. So now we will continue what else he has to say about the Grihamidis. So now we come to, so I gave an extended introduction because we don't have many verses, only five verses, and then we will finish this chapter. So I thought it would be nice to go through properly again to remind ourselves where we stopped. So now Saunaka Rishi is continuing. He says, right, the upper portion of the body, though crowned with a silk turban, is only bara. You know, bara in Tamil also we say baram. So it means a heavy weight. So somebody, nowadays in Kali Yuga, people spend so much of money and time in decorating ourselves, right? The head, so decorating, putting a nice turban, cosmetics, multi-billion-dollar industry, right? So it's only a burden. So much of decoration, so much of hairstyling, so much of whatever. It is only a burden wearing a costly turban, right? If we do not use our head to bow down before Mukunda. So it's interesting the play of words here. Bharam and Mukunda. Bharam is burden. When you are carrying heavy burden, when somebody puts a heavy burden on you, you say, you, someone help me. And who can help you? The deliverer of burdens, one who can liberate us from burden. And that is Mukunda. That's the meaning of the name Mukunda, one who delivers person from burden, or the great deliverer, or one who gives liberation. This is the name of Mukunda. So therefore, Saunaka Rishi continues in this way. So we should not be like this. And therefore he's saying we should bow down to Mukunda. And Krishna also says that in Bhagavad Gita, right? Where's that verse? In Bhagavad Gita chapter 9, I think. Namasyantascha mam satatam kirtayanto mam yatantascha drida vritaha namasyantascha mam bhaktyam, right? So namasyantascha mam bhaktyam, that means offer my obeisances. So my devotee, how do I recognize my devotee? My devotees are satatam kirtayanto mam. They are always chanting Hari Namanu Kirtanam, right? So that is satatam kirtayanto mam. Yatantascha drida vritaha. They are endeavoring with great determination. Tivrena bhakti yogena. Tivrena means with great determination. Again in Bhagavad Gita also, right? Drida vritaha, with great determination. So they are following, not as a part-time, not as a light thing, but they are very fixed in their mind. Vyavasayatmika buddhi, their mind and concentration is always fixed in one thing only, right? In devotional service. They are not doing everything else is in relation with devotional service. Devotional service is the main thing. So, right. So therefore, and so bowing one's head. Again, another verse is also there, Bhagavad Gita. Manmana bhava mad bhakto mad yaji mam namaskuru. Namaskuru. So my devotees, again, how to recognize my devotees? Manmana bhava, always remembering me. Manmana bhava, mad bhakto, my devotees. Mad yaji, they are always worshipping me. And mam namaskuru, always offering their obeisances to me. See? So offering your obeisances is so important. And this is also described, example, like how Maharaj Ambarish Ambarish Maharaj, he used every part of his body in the service of the Lord. So how will he use his head? He uses his head to bow down before the Lord. And then Saunaka Rishi continues, and the hands, though decorated with glittering bangles, those hands are like those of a dead man if the hands are not engaged in service of Hari. So, right, we have examples like Ravana. Ravana had such a burden. He had 10 heads, all well decorated with helmets. But he refused to bow down his head to Lord Ramachandra. And he had so many arms also. And what did he use? He didn't use his arms to serve Lord Ramachandra. So like that, there are other examples. There is also Banasura. So Banasura had so many thousands of arms, right? But he did not use the hands. He used those arms to fight against Krishna. So he did not use it to worship the Lord. You know, sometimes when we are so busy with work, we wished we had so many hands also, isn't it? So if we had 4 hands, then one hand can do this, one hand can do that, one hand can do another thing. So therefore, you know, we want to use everything in the service of the Lord. So this is what Saunaka Rishi is saying. What's the point of having a nice arm or nice hands, beautifully decorated, if it's not used in the service of the Lord? So in the end, Ravana was killed only. This is what will happen, right? We will meet ignoble death and again take birth again. We will be forced to enter into the womb of another person and again to go through the confinement in the womb, such suffering, and then go through the terrible ordeal of Janma, and then Vyadi as we grow up, and then Jara as we grow old, and then Mrityu, death as we die. And again, cycle repeats. So that's the problem. So Prabhupada says, the common man, if he has no time to worship the Lord, may at least engage his hands for a few seconds in washing and sweeping the Lord's temple. So like that, at least little bit, you know, the success of one's life, you know, at the end of our life, when we die, the success of our life is, have we done any small thing in the service of the Lord? So that is the success of our life. Not that we were great personalities, I was a great scientist or a great politician or a great person or a great doctor or a great lawyer or great whatever. No, all that will disappear. Nobody's going to remember, right? And there will always be someone better after that. Look at the Olympics, right? There is always the record breaking. They take so much of effort to, you know, break an Olympic record, and that record will last for a few years. And after it's broken again, it inevitably gets broken all the time. And in the end, what will happen? Nobody remembers the old person who held the record. Is gone, forgotten, right? But even if one little service is performed for Lord Mukunda, the Lord eternally remembers that service. And that service, which small service that one did, that will be there at the time of our death to save us. Nehabhikrama nasosti pratyavayo na vidyate swa alpam api asya dharmasya trayate mahato bayat. It will save us from our greatest fear, bayat. What will save us? Even a little, swa alpam api asya, little bit also we did, right? It will save us from our greatest fear. How much more it will bring us benefit if we dedicate our lives to it, right? Or at least mold our lives around devotional service. Always keeping Krishna in the center in everything that we do in our life. Krishna is the center in our house. Krishna is the center in whatever we cook, whatever we eat, whatever activities that we perform, right? He says in chapter 9, Bhagavad Gita, right? Yat juhos, yat dadas, yat karosi, yat karosi, yat juhosi, dadas, sorry, again, let me think. Yat karosi, yat karosi, yat ashnasi, yat juhosi, dadasi, yat tapasyasi kaunteya, tat kurushva mat arpanam. So whatever yat karoshi, whatever you act, whatever you perform, whatever activities you perform, yat karoshi, yat ajnasi, whatever you eat, yat ashnasi, what yat juhosi, whatever charity you perform, right? And what yat dadasi, whatever gifts you give, right? And yat tapasyasi, whatever austerities you perform, do that as an offering to me. Mat arpanam, do it as an offering to me. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. So that's our success of our life. So it's quite easy to follow, right? Simply, right? We have to take lessons from a pure devotee. Then he will tell us how to do all these things. They themselves set the example of doing this. So then Sanaka Rishi continues, the eyes which do not look at the symbolic representatives of Vishnu, representations of Vishnu. What are the symbolic representations of Vishnu? Right? We have the chakra. When we go to Jagannath Puri, what they say, right? Even if the first thing we should do is look up at the sky at the top of the temple and look at the Gobram, the chakra. That is the symbol of Lord Vishnu. Even if you go to, when I went to South India Yatra, the Sri Vaishnavas, the idea in the Sri Vaishnava temple is whenever one enters a temple, there are 5 things one must look, it seems, must take darshan. Then only the yatra is complete. So that means when they enter a temple, the first thing they must do is look at the Gobram. So they must look at the Gobram, right? And then after that, they must look at in a temple, usually there will be a tree, the main tree in that temple. So one must look at the tree, and one must also look at the Pushkar. There will be a lake, a small, like a pond or a temple pond. Usually, in India, they have many temple ponds. So you must also look at the temple pond. 3 things one must take darshan. And the 4th thing one must take darshan is, what's the 4th thing? I can't remember the 4th thing. Look at that. Oh, the Garuda Stamba, the Stamba. There will be a Stamba. In every temple we go, even in Malaysia, there will be a stamba. Like you go to Lord Shiva temple, there will be a Nandi, right? And a tall pillar, like a flag. That's the stamba. If you go to Vishnu temple, in front of Garuda, there will be a tall pillar, like, that's the slab. So the stamba one must take darshan. And of course, finally, the Mula deity, the deity inside the temple. So 5 things one must take darshan. So like that, one must, the symbols of Lord Vishnu are benedictions. So the eyes which do not look at the symbolic representations of Vishnu. So for example, the Gada, the Kaumodaki Gada, the Chakra, the Sudarshan Chakra, the Padma, the lotus, the conch, the Panchajanya conch. So one who doesn't see all these things, then Sauraka Rishi says, the eyes of such people who don't bother to look at all these things are like those printed on the plumes of a peacock. So, the peacock feather, it looks like an eye, isn't it? This one. So he says, what's the point of the eye on the peacock's feather? It looks very beautiful, but it's blind. No point, no purpose, right? It's blind. It's just a decoration. So therefore, it's just useless, the eyes, if you don't. So same thing with Arati also. One should take the trouble to look at the Arati. Simply looking at the Arati, what is the service we can do when somebody is doing Arati? We should look at it, darshan, right? So that is the important point. Of course, we can do more than just look. We can chant, we can sing. But at least one should at least be present. It's one of the important devotional angas, right? Archanam. So Prabhupada says, simple theoretical book knowledge is not sufficient for neophyte devotee. Because what will the neophyte devotee understand by reading the book? His realizations would be very limited, right? So there must be practical engagement of that knowledge. So spiritual knowledge must be developed by a combination of theoretical and practical knowledge. That is for the neophyte devotee. Must connect it. That's why, when devotees are new, it's not just enough that they just, come and hear or do. In the beginning, they are hearing, they can't relish the hearing. So the whole point of seva is to develop the taste in hearing and chanting. So if one doesn't have sufficient taste for hearing and chanting, then one can try hearing and chanting, but together with that, one should also do some practical service. Then the heart becomes more purified faster. And then the result of that is the taste for hearing and chanting increases. So that's the idea behind it. So, right? And what is this practical application of devotional service? The practical application of devotional service is archanam. So the deity worship process. That's why we have the Bhagavata Vidhi and we have the Archana, the Pancharatra Vidhi. Bhagavata Vidhi is the path of hearing and chanting, Srimad Bhagavatam, right? That's Bhagavata Vidhi. And there is Pancharatra Vidhi, the path of deity worship. Between the two, Bhagavata Vidhi is more important. At the same time, still, we are not in that level yet. So therefore, we have to do both together. Then only we can appreciate the Bhagavata Vidhi even better. So Archana Vidhi or Pancharatra Vidhi or Archana has to go hand in hand with Bhagavata Vidhi. So if one is simply doing Archana, but one has no understanding of Bhagavatam, or one doesn't like to hear or chant, right? Then it is half the thing only. It's not completed, right? So one should, if one performs Archana properly and correctly, the result of that is one develops a desire to hear about the Lord, and one develops a desire to chant the names of the Lord. If one doesn't develop these two desires, that means something wrong with our Archana process. That means we are making mistakes, we are making offenses, something is not correct. It's off. So everything, that's the thing. Everything that we do in our spiritual life, every seva that we do in our spiritual life must give us greater taste in chanting and hearing. If it doesn't lead to this, we can be doing this for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. If it doesn't lead to this taste in chanting and hearing, that means there's something wrong. What is wrong? What is wrong? So we'll come to that. That also Prabhupada will explain. So Prabhupada says if one is unable to maintain a temple at home, he should at least go to another's temple where all the above performances are regularly executed. So regular, that's the thing about Pancharatra. That's the thing about Archanam. When one is doing worship at home, it regulates that person. Their sadhana becomes better because they have to wake up early. They have to perform the worship, right? It's a lot of sacrifice one has to do, right? So these things improve the level of sadhana in a person. So one comes to a good position. So there's some kind of steadiness in one's life. So this is what what do you call deity worship can do for us. It helps us to stabilize our sadhana. So as a result, our hearing and chanting increases. So it's very powerful. So Prabhupada recommends, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also recommends this, Narada also recommends this, that we do both together, right? So, and especially for the neophyte devotee, right? He cannot just exist in one of this. In Kali Yuga, it's very difficult. The senses are very wild. So we have to connect our senses into the Lord, and what you call Archanam is a very wonderful process, very elaborate process where everything is connected to the Lord. The eyes, the ears, we chant mantras, we ring the bell, we do this, we perform mudras with our hands. So many elaborate things one can, and it's basically a meditation. Every day one can spend some time in doing this. At least, every devotee who lives in their house can have a simple altar and every day can perform arati. Right? Even a simple arati, at least, but every day. It has to be every day, without fail, right? Or if not at home, then do it in a temple. So it creates a counterculture. When one activates in this, it creates a counterculture. Counterculture to counter the counter the Maya propaganda. What is Maya propaganda? Maya propaganda is led by the TV, led by the cinema, led by the phone, YouTube, all the social media. So it is taking away our attention, our eyes, our mind, our thinking. So the way to bring it back into proper orientation is deity worship. So, it's very elaborate. So Prabhupada says it helps to regulate, it increases our standards in sadhana. And Prabhupada says one can make rapid progress in spiritual knowledge if one performs both together, right? Without offenses, right? But performing Bhagavata Dharma itself is wonderful because it counteracts all the offenses that one does in Archanam. When one hears and chants, it automatically counteracts many of the offenses that one may perform in Archanam. But if one doesn't do this, one doesn't hear and chant, then there is danger of offenses in Archanam. So both has to be done together. Right? So then Saunaka Rishi continues. And the legs which do not move to the holy places where Hari is remembered and glorified, those legs are considered to be like the tree trunks. So, right? So we have legs. So what have we done with our legs? We have gone to this country, we have gone to that country, we have gone here, we have gone there. We are very proud of wherever we have gone, our journeys. But if it doesn't go to a holy place, if our legs are very reluctant, of everywhere else we are happy to go, but when it comes to going to the temple of the Lord or the holy places of the Lord, we find excuses to give, then our legs are like tree trunks. So it's like, the tree also has support, the trunk has support, but it's pointless because it cannot go to the holy places of the Lord. So that is the actual perfection of the use of our legs. So long as we have legs, so long as we can walk, so long as we can do something, climb stairs or whatever, we should make it a point to visit these places. But we should go with the guidance of a pure devotee. So Prabhupada gives a warning. One should not visit all these sanctified pilgrimage places and temples with sightseeing in mind. So it's not a tourism attraction. It's not that, we are going there, so beautiful, let's take this photo, that photo, that photo. I tell you, best to leave the camera behind, right? It's a nuisance. You just leave it behind and leave the phone, if possible, or shut the thing. And just, we've forgotten to take photos with our hearts. Do you know, nowadays, everybody is taking photos with with the phones, with the camera, but they don't take photos with their hearts because the mind is so moved aside. It's just so, distracted. Snap, 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 snap. And where do all these photos end up in the end? Do we really revisit them? Do we really look at them? Right? Of course, if it's meant for preaching and all that, then it's fine. But the point is, people become so mad about these things that they don't connect internally with the Lord or with the holy places. So that's what people used to do in those days. We take photographs with our hearts. So instead, what one should do, right? It is best, therefore, to follow the instruction of the bona fide spiritual master, even in visiting temples and the holy places of pilgrimage. So it's best to take blessings, permission from the guru, right? When we go to holy places, right? They will give us instruction, right? Or even better to go with them, right? If we have the chance to ever go with them, we should not miss because this is really, 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 really a very, very rare and wonderful opportunity. So if such opportunities come our way, we should take as much trouble as we can to find a way to go. It's the entire journey is very, very special when we travel with holy people, when we travel with great personalities, devotees. It's just so different and it's so wonderful. And when we go with when we go with the devotees, then the devotees will reveal the Dham, because we don't have the eyes to see the actual dham, the actual places of pilgrimage. We can only see, what can our eyes see, right? So we see through our ears. Prabhupada always say that we see through our ears. Spiritual things we have to see from our ears. We have to hear, and then that seeing becomes very powerful. So one should both hear and see. So that's why going in a spiritual pilgrimage, yatras, we have so many yatras. We have Mayapur Parikram, we have Vrindavan Parikram, we have every year. That's why Prabhupada established this. Even before Prabhupada, Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj established this. Even before him, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, he had the desire. Even before him, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showed the way, right? He took pilgrimage. For 6 years, he went all over the India, different parts of India. Even Balaram, before him, took pilgrimage, right? He missed the entire battle of Kurukshetra. So they are all showing us the way. Mm. And whenever they went for pilgrimage, what did they do? They seeked out a pure devotee and they heard from him. That's what Maitreya Rishi did when he went to a holy place. So see what's happening in Naimisharanya, all the sages in the holy places. When Sutta Goswami came, they are all taking the advantage to hear from him. So it's very, very, very purifying, very, very powerful. Because when we hear and chant in the holy places, it is magnified 1,000 times. It is described. And when we go to holy places and do hearing and chanting during holy months, it's even more powerful. It becomes times by just the holy month itself, times by 1,000 or 10,000. And being in a holy place in the holy month, it times, many times already. So it's very, very powerful. But we must go in the association of devotees. And we must not do any nonsense. We should particularly have time allocated every day for hearing and chanting and serving the holy places of pilgrimage. So therefore it's best to follow the instruction of the bona fide spiritual master, even in visiting temples and the holy places of pilgrimage. Because sometimes the places of pilgrimage nowadays is Kali Yuga, although the pure devotees are there, but they are rare, though they are here and there. But it's also attracting a lot of opportunists, a lot of people who are out to cheat people. So these kind of people are majority. So if we go alone, there is a very high chance that we will be cheated, and we may get deviated, and even worse things may happen. So it's always best, right, to go in the protection and with the association of the devotees to holy places. Prabhupada says, the devotees should be guided by those who know the signs of the Lord. And then Saunaka Rishi continues, the person who has not at any time received the Bhagavata Angri Redum upon his head is certainly a dead body. So who's a dead body? A dead body. So just to re-establish the importance of what I've been saying just now, I've been saying that a pure devotee is very important. We must go to the holy places with the association, with the permission, with the blessings of devotees, right? So now re-establishing the same point over here, right? Bhagavata means devotee. Angri means the lotus feet. Bhagavata can also mean the Lord, right? So the Bhagavata here refers to both Lord and the devotee. So the person who has not at any time received the Renum means dust, the dust from the lotus feet of the Bhagavata, which is the Lord or the devotees. So one who has not received the dust of the lotus feet of the devotee or the Lord upon his head is certainly a dead body. Because what's the point of such life? That life is useless life if one has not ever had a chance to receive this. So therefore we go, and that's why in the temples we receive Chadari Darshan, right? Chadari Darshan is the lotus feet of the Lord, and they put that on your head. So one should receive that with humility. And in many temples, we also have the lotus feet of the Lord. Now we have this project. His Grace Marichi Prabhu is going around, in various safaris. He is installing the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in all the places he visited across India. So quite a number of places, even before Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, Prabhupada, he started this project. So we went to Sri Rangam, and there we saw the lotus feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu established by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada. And, so therefore this project was continued. His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj continued this project, and Marichi Prabhu has been spreading this, going in every. So last year, was it last year only? Yeah, I think it was last year. We went to Vrindavan, and in Vrindavan there were places where we installed the holy places, the lotus feet of the Lord. So this year they are traveling in some places in Bengal and all that. South India, many places were still, some places are left, not yet installed. So, and then Saudaka Rishi continues, and the Manu Jaha means the Jana of the Manu. Manu is the father of mankind, and Jana means the people of the father of mankind. That means human beings. And the Manuja, the human beings who has never experienced the aroma of the Tulasi leaves from Vishnu Padaya is also a dead body, although breathing. So if we are breathing, we should breathe the fragrance of the Tulasi leaves, which has been offered to the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu, right? Vishnu Pada. So we had that opportunity also when we went to our South India Divya Desham Yatra. So much of Tulasis they offer. So, and many places we got big garlands of Tulasi. And the Indian Tulasi is very strong, the fragrance, not like the Malaysian Tulasi. Malaysian Tulasi is very light, the fragrance. But the Indian Tulasi is very strong, the fragrance. And the taste is also very strong. So it's nice. We had these opportunities. So we should all take this opportunity. So when the main thing we do when we take Chadari, some people, when they take Chadari Darshan, on the plate there will be Tulasis. So we should take the Tulasis and we should put it in our mouth. So that's the thing, right? Sometimes people just take Chadari Darshan and they just go off. So Chadari Darshan, and we have to take the Tulasis. And after that, we should also circumambulate the deity, and we must also take the Charanamrita of the deity. So remember what I mentioned, right? When we enter a temple, we must see the Gopuram, we must see the tree, we must see the Pushkar if it's there, and then we must see the Stamba, right? The pillar, right? And we must see the deity of the deity, the Mula Pratishta. The Mula means the root, the Lord, right? We must see the Lord of the temple. And then we must take darshan. We must go around Pradakshana, go around the deity at least 3 times. And then we must take Charnamrita. And I would add one more. We should sit there and we should do kirtan, right? Just a little, even silently or quietly, we should do japa or kirtan. So we also had the opportunity to do that when we went to the Divya Desham, many temples. So we were chanting on the street. We also sat on the temples and we were chanting and singing. So that was nice. There's one temple when the Pujari also came and joined us. So it was very good. We went to Dhanushkodi in over there, the Kodanda Rama temple. That's the Lord Ram over there. When he returned from Ayodhya, so that's where Lord Ram was installed in the deity form. So there was a very nice kirtan that was carried out. My Guru Maharaj was there. He was also dancing, and the locals were also dancing, and it was very nice. So hopefully that everybody will get such opportunities to do that, so that we are not categorized as dead bodies by Saunaka Rishi. So Prabhupada says the stage of pure devotion is attained by sincerely serving a pure devotee of the Lord. So this is a very, very important point, right? The stage of pure devotion is attained by sincerely serving a pure devotee of the Lord. So we should meditate on that statement. The first condition of devotional service of the Lord is therefore to be a servant of a pure devotee. So this is the mood one should have. Somehow or other, we want to serve that pure devotee. We want to do something. So when we are thinking in this way, and especially when opportunities come, we will find opportunities, we'll search opportunities. If you read the Chaitanya Charitamrita, there are devotees over there who find so many ways to serve devotees. There's one person, I forgot the name of this person, but he's a great personality. He couldn't find service in different in with the devotees. So what he used to do, okay, this one, his name is Narottam Das and Lochan Das Maharaj. So Narottam Das, his spiritual master is Lochan Das Maharaj. But Lochan Das Maharaj, he didn't want to accept disciples in the beginning. So Narottam Das wanted him to be his guru. So he begged and begged and begged, but Lochan Das says, no, I won't accept disciples. So, but what Narottam Das did, he went and every day in the place where Lochan Das Maharaj would go, and every morning they will answer nature's call. They will pass motion and pass. In those days they don't have toilets, they have fields. So they go to the field, there's some place which is designated for that purpose, and they pass motion and they pass urine and everything. So after that they will go and they go and take a bath. So this Narottam Das, he will wait until Lochan Das goes and passes stool and everything. And then every day he will come and he will clean that area. And then, so this was going on every day. And when Lochan Das heard this, not heard, one day he realized somebody is doing this. Why suddenly is being cleaned all the time? So then finally he found out, he waited and then he caught the person and he says, why are you doing this? Right? And then Narottam Das said, I am trying to serve you in some way because you refuse to accept my service. Therefore, I'm trying to find a way to serve you. So this was the humility of Narottam Das Thakur. And Narottam Das Thakur was so dear to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was alive on earth, was present on earth, Narottam Das wasn't born yet. But when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to a river, I think it was Padmavati River in Bengal, he stood on that river and he shouted, Narottam, 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 like that. But Narottam Das wasn't born yet. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was shouting because he knows that this personality will be born later on. So anyway, it's described that the tears that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu shed, it merged together with that water. And later on, when Narottam Das Thakur was born and he bathed in that water again, so he received the blessings of the tears of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Something like that I've heard. So, and he developed very similar ecstatic prema, just like how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had. And there are many, many songs sung by Narottam Das Thakur. So, like, we sing our the Jay Anilo Prema Dana song, that's also by Narottam Das Thakur. Many, many beautiful songs. So the mood of the acharyas is very wonderful. So they set the example for all of us. So Prabhupada says it is never attained, right? So I know that, okay, here to that, in this pastime, there's also another pastime I wanted to mention. It's mentioned in the purport. Prabhupada mentions the pastime of how Jada Bharat, the story of Jada Bharat, just to make it very brief, Jada Bharat was a very great personality, but he was pretending to be deaf and dumb because he didn't want to associate with anybody. Because in his previous life, due to some faulty association, he did not achieve his desired goal. But in his next life, he got the memory from his past birth. So in this life, he made a vow that I will behave like I'm deaf and dumb so that everybody will leave me alone so that I can fully concentrate in Harinama Sankirtan. So anyway, one point of time, he met a king. The king, the king's soldiers, the king was traveling. The name of the king was Maharaj Rahugana. And he was traveling from one place to another place. And he was traveling on a palanquin. He was a good king, a great king. And in the palanquin, somebody has to carry the palanquin. So it so happened that one of the palanquin bearers, they hurt their leg. So they couldn't walk properly to carry the palanquin. So then at that time, this Jada Bharat was walking along, and the servants of the king saw him, and they went and told him, "Hey, you come here. You look like a strong and healthy person. You come and carry the palanquin." So Maharaj Jada Bharat, he just followed along. So they engaged him to carry him on the palanquin. But when he was going with the palanquin, this Jada Bharat Maharaj, as he was walking, there were sometimes certain insects which were coming along the way. So in order to avoid stepping on those insects, he would step on the left or on the right. He would try to dodge the insects while carrying the palanquin. And you can imagine the effect of that on the king who was sitting on the palanquin. When somebody tries to dodge things and carrying you, right, you will feel like, oh, what's happening? So out of anger, Maharaj Rahugana scolded this Jada Bharat. Can't you do this service properly? Why are you doing all that? So he chastised him. So this comes in Srimad Bhagavatam in later cantos, this very nice story. So at that time, Maharaj Rahugana got a shock because Jada Bharat started to preach to him. He started to chastise back the king and said, and spoke very elevated topics. And Maharaj Rahugana was amazed. The more he heard from him, the more he realized the great mistake he had done. Immediately he fell down, took obeisances of him, and then inquired and became very, very humble and started inquiring from him. Then along the way, he asked this Jada Bharat, how did you become so elevated? How did you develop this kind of great mood? How did you develop so much of advancement? So the answer that Jada Bharat gives to Maharaj Rahugana, that's the answer Prabhupada is quoting over here. He says, what I have attained, this pure devotional service to this level is never attained by tapasya, simply by performing austerity. It is never attained by simply Vedic worshipping processes alone, like what's given in the Vedas. It is never attained by acceptance of sannyas order also. Even by taking sannyas, you don't get this. It is never attained by the discharge of duties of varnashram. It is never attained by even the chanting of the Vedic hymns. It is never attained even by the performance of penances, right? So how is it attained then? It is attained only, right, by the service of the pure devotee. So only by serving the pure devotee, you can attain this pure devotional service. That's why it's stated here. The stage of pure devotion, this is the answer Jada Bharat gives to Maharaj Rahugana. The stage of pure devotion is attained by sincerely serving a pure devotee of the Lord. The first condition of devotional service of the Lord is therefore to be a servant of the pure devotee. That's why Krishna tells the same thing in Bhagavad Gita. Tadvidi pranipatena pariprasnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattva darshinaha. One should approach those people who have seen the truth, and one should menially serve in a very humble state of mind and inquire upon them. That is, so there must be service. There should not be only inquiry. So there should be service first. And then comes inquiry, right? So that's why one should accept a pure devotee and accept that as your spiritual master, take up spiritual, and one should follow the instruction given by the spiritual master diligently for a long period of time. At the same time, humbly uh, put questions to clarify. Even if one knows the answer, one should still put the question, because sometimes it further is reinforced by the answer when it comes from the lips of a pure devotee. So, or sometimes we feel that certain points were not covered, so you can raise a certain question in such a way that the person will start speaking about those points. So it becomes even more nectarian, right? And it might, and other people will also get benefited. So even if we know everything sometimes, so we should ask questions for the benefit of everybody. So, and then Vishwanath Chakravarti says over here, therefore, a pure devotee, therefore, never approaches the Lord directly. A pure devotee never approaches the Lord directly. He says they always approach through the Lord through a devotee. This is the process of devotional service. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says in the purport to this verse, right? The breathing dead body. Now, if somebody is a breathing dead body, so he said, who's a dead body is someone who, never never experienced the aroma of the tulsi leaves. So Vishwanath Chakravarti says here, a breathing dead body, in our modern terms, we call them the undead. So, and he says the same thing here. A breathing dead body is a ghost. The ghost-like non-devotees who have no respect for the pure devotees, nor for the Vishnu deity in the temples, create a fearful situation for the devotees at all times. So therefore, we should avoid them. Asat Sangha Tyaga. And that's what that happens also. So anyway, let's go to the second last verse. This is the time is getting on. So now in conclusion, Saunaka Rishi is saying, certainly that heart is steel framed, steel heart. If our heart, despite hearing and chanting and doing everything else, right, certainly it's a steel framed heart. Asma Sharam Hridayam. Hridayam means heart. Asma Saram. Asma means steel, Saram means framed, right? So here we can see the modern people, they have created steel hearts. This is in the University of Sheffield. There's a steel heart sculpture like this, right? So we don't want to have hearts like this. So this is Vishwanath Chakravarti, a painting. So Vishwanath Chakravarti says, this is Saunaka Rishi, he's repeating this. So the heart is steel, certainly steel framed, which in spite of one's chanting Harinama with concentration does not change when ecstasy takes place. Tears fill the eyes and the hair stand on end. So if all these things are not happening to us, despite seriously with concentration chanting Harinam, if it doesn't take place and our heart doesn't melt, what's the symptom of our heart melting? When our heart melts, that means ecstasy takes place. Tears fill the eyes and hair stand on end. This is one of. So Prabhupada also gives more information about the symptoms of bhakti, of bhava. This is ecstasy, right? Bhava. The reaction of change in the heart is exhibited by gradual detachment. It doesn't just suddenly occur. Hmm? From the sense of material enjoyment by a false sense of lording it over the world and an increase in the attitude of rendering loving service to the Lord. So it's a gradual change which will take place, and gradually the heart will melt. And at one point of time, we will achieve this ecstasy. Tears filling the eyes and hair standing on end, right? So, in devotional service, there are the 9 stages of devotional service. We have Shraddha, development of faith. Somebody gives us the faith, right? And by association, this happens. By association, further association, our faith grows a little bit more. A conducive environment is created. So sadhu sangha is that conducive environment. The seed is planted in the heart. The heart is like the soil, right? What does sadhu sangha do for us? Sadhu sangha, the association of devotees, they make the soil fertile for us, right? It's like tilling the soil, removing all the weeds and all the stones and everything, and it's made fertile for us. What does the soil do? The soil provides support. The soil provides nourishment, right? The soil, these two, nourishment and support, and it provides a basis for which the seed to grow. So without sadhu sangha, our faith cannot really grow. But that's not alone. You can't just depend on sadhu sangha. You also have to do your own effort. So that's where bhajana kriya comes. There is sadhana given to us. So when we take shelter of sadhu sangha, the guru, which is the sadhu sangha, the siksha guru, the diksha guru, whoever, they will give instruction. So follow a certain sadhana, 16 rounds, 4 regulative principles, ekadasi, seva. So therefore, that is called bhajana kriya. Bhajana kriya is the watering of the plant, watering of the seed. If we don't water, there is no possibility of it sprouting. So we need to water. So this water has to be daily. So that's why every day we do sadhana. What's our sadhana? As I said, hearing and chanting. right? And also here Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, remembering, right? Pada Sevanam, serving, and also Archanam, right? So the process of deity worship is also part of the daily sadhana that we may perform. So in this way we follow. So we must always remember that hearing and chanting are the basic principles of discharging devotional duties. And if they are properly performed, they will follow the reactional ecstasy. They will, 100%. So like this, stage by stage, bhajana kriya, then anartha nivriti, we have to weed ourselves from unnecessary weeds. The chanting and the when we water the plant, not only the plant grows, other things also grow, the weeds also grow. So if something is not happening correctly, if we are not experiencing ecstasy properly, right, or at least not even a hint of it, in fact we feel aversion to it, that means if the reaction does not take place even after continuous hearing and chanting of the holy names, it may be considered to be due to offenses only. So there's something wrong. We are offending. We are doing offenses. You know, we have the 10 offenses of the holy name. So we have to be more attentive. And remember, as we are pouring the water, weeds are also growing. So the weeds are desires, other desires, right? So there are other desires that we have in our heart, such as desire for name, for fame, for glory, right? There are the gross desires and the subtle desires. The gross desires are bad behavior because of some pride. Oh, we are great devotees, so therefore we behave badly to other devotees. That's nisidachara, bad behavior. And then after that, there is jiva himsa, causing harm to other devotees. We have to give that up. We cannot continue to cause harm. Harm means by mind, words, and action. So jiva himsa we have to give up. We have to give up also kutinati. Kutinati is the worst of that. So that's dupliciousness. Dupliciousness or crookedness. So by dupliciousness and crookedness, automatically there's bad behavior. Automatically there is jiva himsa. If we want to know what is this, then we can study the life of Duryodhana. You study the life of Duryodhana, he is the representation of all these three. So we don't want to develop Duryodhana-like qualities in our heart. So, and those are the gross ones. Then there are the subtle ones. As we perform devotional service, people will start to glorify us. They will give all kinds of praises. So we have to understand all this is not true, right? So we cannot see the praises and believe in it. Otherwise, we will fall, victim to fame, puja. So we must reject puja, but we don't reject puja. We are devotees, so we channel everything to Guru and Gauranga. Do you know we always say all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Guru and Gauranga? So we must genuinely believe that whatever that we have, those qualities are only by the mercy of Guru and Gauranga. Without Guru and Gauranga's mercy, these qualities are not really qualities. So we must not believe, and when people say these things and glorify, so we have to understand that it is only by the mercy of the Lord. So that is puja. We want to avoid puja. We have to pluck out. This puja is like the weed, so we have to pull it out. If we ever feel that we are starting to believe, oh, people are saying I'm great, so maybe I am great, huh? So that is a puja. So we don't want worship. We don't want adoration. Puja, labha, puja, gain, puja, and pratishta, distinction. We don't want all these things. So we have to constantly, this is what we call jihad. In Islam, they have the concept of jihad. This is the real jihad, to fight the enemy within our heart, to remove the weeds, to constantly weed our heart from all these impurities. And as I said, Prabhupada says the other thing is offenses, right? And the worst of offenses is offending the devotee who is dedicating his life to chanting the holy names, to propagating the Bhagavad Dharma. So we want to be very careful of devotees. Sometimes in our society, we take too many things for granted. So we are not careful of our words, of our action. So as soon as we enter the temple, it's like red alert. We have to be very, very careful about what we speak, about what we do. It's so that's the thing. So if we follow this very careful, that's what Jada Bharat was doing. He's so careful until he didn't want to say anything already. So anyway, so we have to also do service. So but we have to be careful, very careful. Otherwise, we will invite the mad elephant. We invite a mad elephant to the garden, finish. It will stamp, 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 and uproot everything, and there is no more growth. So Prabhupada says, therefore, real steady bhava is definitely displayed in the matter of shanti. So how do we recognize people? Sometimes people are also pretending. So when people are pretending, that is also not good. So, stone-hearted people, Vishwanath Chakravarti says, these kind of people who pretend ecstasy, they are like stone heart. Real devotees never, 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 never advertise their ecstasies. That's the word. They don't so-called share their ecstasies unless it is in confidence to those who are really in confidence, right? So they never share their ecstasy because otherwise it will become very cheap and people will start imitating. So, but what we can see, however, is we can see to what extent their material desires are ceased. Cessation of material desire. This is a symptom which we can see, right? Another one is avyartha kalatvam, utilization of every moment in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. They don't waste their time. Every moment of their life is used in the service of the Lord. Or to that degree, we can understand to that degree they are elevated. Namagane Sadaruchi, eagerness for glorifying the Lord constantly. So that's another yardstick in which to see the extent of one's advancement. Priti Stat Vasati Stale, attraction for living in the land of the Lord. So they develop an attraction for the holy places of pilgrimage. So this is also another symptom, right? And virakti, complete detachment from material happiness. So even though they develop attraction for the holy places, why are they developing the attraction? Is it for material sense gratification or is it really to serve the holy dham? So therefore, detachment from material happiness. And the other one is pridelessness. They become completely free of pride. So this is a very important yardstick. Then only, that's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, right? Trinadapi sunichena tarurapi saisnuna amanina manina, then only kirtaniya sadahari. The real chanting of the holy name will take place when we have achieved these qualities. So Prabhupada says, the advanced devotee who chants the holy name of the Lord in a perfectly offenseless manner and is friendly to everyone can actually relish the transcendental taste of glorifying the Lord. So this is an important point. We want to maintain friendly relationship with everybody. We don't want to fight. We don't want to argue. We don't want to, if somebody is behaving in a certain way, okay, we avoid them, right? But we can say Hare Krishna. Okay, that's it. No need to have, oh, I won't come to the temple as long as this person is there. You don't have to have that kind of thinking, right? So you just, everybody is trying to serve in their own capacity. Sometimes, the cat is thinking that he's a cat, so he must meow. The dog is thinking that he's a dog, and he thinks he must woof. So because the cat is thinking the cat is cat, the dog is thinking the dog is dog. So when they two meet together, they fight. So that's Prabhupada says that. So therefore, we want to, go beyond that. We have to understand everybody is also trying to do something. We shouldn't judge people. We shouldn't scold people. We shouldn't come and say you are sinful if you don't do this service. If you're not doing that, oh, you're bad. Why are you not serving? Everybody is serving according to their capacity, right? And there's no point in this. We want to avoid this kind of offenses. We don't want to have this "I'm holier than thou" attitude to come and say that you're not doing this or you're not doing that. We do our best and we encourage other people to join in a very positive way. So this is the last verse. I'll just end with this. So now Saunaka Rishi is trying his best to convince Sutta Goswami, speak more, speak more. Oh Sutta Goswami, your words are pleasing to our minds. Please therefore explain this to us. So give us more Harikatha. What else did Sukadev Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj speak. You just gave a very summarized version only. Expand it more. So, and then he continues, as it was spoken by Bhagavata Pradhan, the chief of the great devotees, as it was spoken amongst them, Vaya Sakir. Vaya Sakir is the son of Vyasadev, who is Sukadev Goswami, who is very expert in Atma Vidya. That means he is knowledgeable in the transcendental aspects of Bhagavata Dharma, and who spoke to Sadhu Maharaj Parikshit upon being asked. So in that assembly, perfect Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam narration takes place. When the speaker is supremely qualified and when the listener is also supremely qualified. So that's why we are repeating the same Srimad Bhagavatam. So Sukadev Goswami spoke it to Parikshit Maharaj, and it was repeated by Suta Goswami to Saunaka Rishi with the sages of Naimisharanya. And in this way, Parampara is going down. And we are also trying to repeat the same Srimad Bhagavatam also. So we don't have qualification, but we are trying to present it in the same mood and in the same vein as the Vaishnava Acharyas to the best of our ability. So we hope that it is by the instructions of Guru and Vaishnavas. So hopefully it will get, somehow something will happen. I know I'm doing this mainly for myself. I'm reciting this because I'm learning a lot as I'm doing this, and it's really, really beneficial for me. And it's very nice that all of you are also assisting me and helping me and, encouraging me by continuously doing this seva. So thank you very much. So we end there. This is the last verse for chapter 3. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhara, Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
It's getting late. I'm so sorry. With 5 verses I spoke. Oh, this is anyway. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer. Otherwise, we can also put it in the chat. Anyone? Anything you'd like to clarify or ask?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandar Pranams.
Chapter 7, chapter 7, 2.7, it has listed the desire of humans, how to achieve the desire of humans through demigods. 2.3, Prabhu, 2.37.
Yeah, I understand. There are various
The
worships.
whole column is listed how to achieve human desire from wealth to fame, strength, everything.
Yes.
Now, all has been recommended in this Srimad Bhagavatam. How to concentrate on Supreme Lord Prabhu.
That's why you didn't read the verse after that. In verse 2:10, after this recommendations is meant for the less intelligent. Because if you read verse 2.9, it will say that the broad-minded intelligent, those with broad intelligence, what they will do, they will not worship all this. They will not follow this karma kanda path. What they will do, they will worship the Lord, the Supreme Lord only. So that's why in verse 2.10, the famous verse comes, whether you are akama, whether you have no desire, whether you have sarva kama, all kinds of desires, or whether you have desire for liberation, it doesn't matter. Everyone also, if you are broad intelligence, then you should worship only the Supreme Lord. So it says that in 2:10. So that makes it very clear.
Anyway, Prabhu, if we were to achieve this, like for example, you pray to Agni, you get the power. Powerful, we will be very powerful, pray to Agni. But after that cycle of birth completed, we cannot get moksha. We'll come back again as a human body or.
Yes, that's the problem with karma kanda. So all this is there in the Vedas. You do this, you get this. You do that, you get that. But it's not going to help us to get freedom. And even moksha is not the ultimate goal because you are
Yeah,
free
yeah.
from the prison, right? But what are you going to do outside the prison? You have nothing to do. So one day you'll again come back to the prison only. So therefore you must be engaged. So unless you develop that taste, unless you develop that ruchi, so therefore that's why they say this is all for the very narrow-minded people. That's why I gave the example also about like the politicians. When election comes, the politicians will give very short-term, I'll give you a bonus, I'll give you a little bit, I give you this one, you vote for me. It doesn't matter what my policies are. My policy is to exploit you and to make you all become what type. But I'm giving you this small money. So please vote for me. So in the same way, this karma kanda is also like that. People who have only that kind of level of intelligence, they can only see that far only. They can't see the bigger picture. So, okay, my immediate, I want this, I want that. Okay, fine. You really want? Okay, then this karma kanda process is there. But even then, Krishna says in the Srimad Bhagavatam 2.10, that's why it says there, right? It doesn't matter. Any desire you have also, better you still come to me, right? Because if you come to me, even by asking the wrong thing, you will still get benefited. But if you go to other people, you ask these wrong things, you will not get benefited. You will get those things, but it's not going to help you, right? So that's why, because ultimately, what's our goal of life? So that's why this is given in Srimad Bhagavatam.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for the question, Prabhu. Anything else anyone wants to raise? No? Okay. All right then. So we end here. Thank you so much. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripasindhibhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Hare Bol.
Thank you
Thank you,
very
Prabhu.
much.
Hare Krishna.
Haribol.